Paris. The year is 1625. A city of soaring spires and shadowed alleys, where whispers of power echo beneath cathedral bells. The air is thick with smoke, perfume, and danger. France trembles between peace and war. Noblemen sharpen their swords as swiftly as their ambitions. Secret letters change hands in candlelit taverns. Behind every velvet curtain, betrayal waits with a smile. Here, honor is tested by cold steel. A careless word can spark a duel at dawn. And a single glance may cost a queen her crown. Lovers hide their hearts behind masks. Schemers hide daggers beneath their cloaks. And into this restless world rides a fiery young Gascon, a dreamer with a battered sword and a letter of promise. His name is D'Artagnan. He seeks not gold nor comfort, only glory. What awaits him in Paris? Friendship, treachery, and the adventure that will echo through the centuries. Far from the clamor of Paris, the hills of Gascony glow beneath the first light of morning. Mist drapes the meadows like a silver veil, and a restless wind carries the scent of wet earth and wood smoke. Here, among these quiet fields, a young man prepares to leave the only world he has ever known. His name is D'Artagnan, barely 20, yet his eyes burn with the hunger of a soldier and the impatience of youth. From the worn beams of his father's farmhouse to the distant towers of Paris, his heart has always belonged to adventure. Today, at last, that call will not be denied. Inside, his father places a letter of recommendation into his hand, a fragile parchment carrying the promise of a future among the king's musketeers. His mother lingers in the doorway, her smile brave, her eyes shimmering with the fear only a mother knows. She whispers a blessing, pressing a small cross into his palm. He vows to return with honor, or not at all. The old horse stamps impatiently as D'Artagnan straps his battered rapier to the saddle. Around them, the countryside stirs awake. Roosters cry, carts creak, and the horizon blushes with dawn. Each sound feels sharper, as if the world itself knows a life is changing forever. With one final glance at the house, at the smoke rising from the hearth, at the faces he loves, he swings into the saddle. The road ahead winds through danger and glory. Behind him lies safety. Before him, destiny. He presses his heels, and the horse surges forward. Gascony fades into mist and memory. Ahead waits Paris, and a fate that will test his courage, his loyalty, and his very soul. The sun sinks low behind the Gascon hills as D'Artagnan rides north, the wind carrying the scent of pine and distant rain. Each mile takes him farther from the familiar warmth of home and deeper into a world of shifting shadows. The road stretches like a ribbon of promise, but danger hides in every bend. Bandits stalk these highways. Spies of the cardinal trade whispers for coin. Even the trees seem to lean closer, as if eager to overhear a young man's destiny. A journey begins with eager anticipation, the rhythmic thunder of hooves, the clink of a sword at his side, the steady beat of a heart hungry for glory. He pictures Paris as a city of shining spires, of duels and dazzling courtly masks. But the romance of the road soon gives way to its perils. A sudden downpour turns dust to mire. Wagon ruts become treacherous pools, and lightning splits the violet sky. D'Artagnan presses on, cloak whipping like a black banner, eyes fixed on the northern horizon. At a lonely roadside inn, warm firelight spills across muddy stones. He enters to the smell of roasted meat and wet wool, drawing curious stares from hardened travelers. A proud nobleman, drunk on wine and arrogance, laughs at the young Gascon's provincial garb and battered sword. The insult strikes like flint to tinder. D'Artagnan's pride flares. Words sharpen. Chairs scrape. Steel flashes. The duel erupts in the courtyard, rain hissing against cold steel. The noble is skilled, but D'Artagnan is faster, fueled by the fire of ambition. Sparks leap with each clash, lightning painting the fighters in stark silver and shadow. A final parry sends the noble sprawling into the mud, his honor bleeding with the rain. Without a word, the young Gascon sheathes his blade and mounts his horse. His arm throbs from a shallow cut, but his spirit burns brighter. He rides on through the storm, toward Paris and the destiny waiting in its labyrinth of streets. A boy who left Gascony now rides as a man, tested by steel. Paris at last. The city greets D'Artagnan with a thunder of hoofbeats and a riot of sound, hawkers calling, bells tolling, the music of 1,000 ambitions colliding in the narrow streets. But destiny wastes no time. On a crowded corner near the Louvre, a hurrying young Gascon crashes shoulder first into a tall, grim musketeer. His rapier scrapes the cobblestones as he steadies himself. Athos, someone calls. The name carries weight. An apology, too quick, too awkward. A flash of pride in Athos's eyes. A duel is demanded. Noon, the Carmelite Garden. Barely has D'Artagnan caught his breath before a flamboyant figure in embroidered velvet blocks his path. A feathered hat tips, a gleam of gold. Porthos, swaggering, laughing, spies the Gascon's battered blade and mocks its country craftsmanship. Words are exchanged. Tempers flare. Another duel. 1 o'clock. Same place. Minutes later, beneath the shadow of a church, a gentle voice quotes scripture with disarming calm. Aramis, elegant and mysterious, steps from the cloister. A misstep. A phrase half heard. Yet another quarrel. The third duel. 2 o'clock. 3 challenges. 3 deadly appointments, and 1 very crowded afternoon. Noon arrives. The Carmelite Garden lies dappled in summer light. Athos waits, silent and severe. D'Artagnan steps forward, heart pounding. Steel whispers from scabbards, but before blades can cross, a shout cuts the air. Cardinal Richelieu's red-cloaked guards pour through the gates, swords drawn, eager to arrest anyone daring an illegal duel. In a heartbeat, enemies become allies. Athos, Porthos, Aramis, 3 of the king's finest musketeers, stand with the young stranger. 4 against A. Blades sing in the sunlight. Boots churn the gravel. Sparks leap from every clash. D'Artagnan moves with fearless precision, matching the veterans stroke for stroke. By the time the last guard retreats, bruised and breathless, the Gascon stands among friends. A boy seeking glory has earned the respect of France's bravest swordsmen. Their motto is not yet spoken, but it burns already in their hearts. All for one, and one for all. While the garden echoes with the fading clash of steel, darker minds stir within the royal palace. Cardinal Richelieu, First Minister of France, architect of power, sits beneath crimson drapes in a chamber heavy with incense and secrets. Reports arrive. A young Gascon, quick with his blade, now fights side by side with the king's musketeers. A peasant by birth, but bold enough to wound the cardinal's pride. Opportunity or threat? Richelieu weighs every word like a blade across a whetstone. He speaks softly, but each syllable carries the force of command. A letter is sealed, a spy dispatched, a plan set in motion. Beyond the polished marble and velvet curtains, the cardinal shadow stretches across Paris. Even kings must bow when ambition wears a scarlet robe. Night descends on Paris, its streets glowing with lantern light and whispered intrigue. D'Artagnan walks beside Athos, Porthos, and Aramis, brothers in arms, forged not by birth, but by battle. They laugh, share wine, and speak of future duels, yet each man feels the tug of destiny. Beyond their laughter, shadows lengthen. In a hidden chamber of the Louvre, a queen guards a perilous secret. Diamonds glitter on velvet, carrying a love that could topple a crown. Tomorrow, the Musketeers will be summoned to a mission of deception and danger, where friendship will be tested and the fate of France will hang by a single thread. The adventure has only begun.